Yo, what it do, St. Louis? Guess what? It is not Tuesday morning. It is Thursday night. What's going on? Hey, we thought we'd bring y'all a special broadcast because what we talked about on Tuesday, it was so fire. You guys had something to say. So we wanted to bring Michelle in and let her get her 2 cents in. So without further ado, let's roll this intro.
Growing up in St. Louis has never been easy, and most say if you want to succeed here, that you must leave and put down roots somewhere else because of the strong crabs in a barrel mentality here.
I don't know if I'm just an optimistic person, but to see people like Chuck Berry and Nelly make it in the music industry, or the Roberts brothers and Dave Stewart in business, or William Lacey Clay Jr. in politics, can we blame the city, or is it that people just aren't hungry enough?
We're talking to all of the movers and shakers in this town, from entertainers to politicians, social activists and organizers, and of course, entrepreneurs.
Is there a curse on this city that holds people back? Is there an unseen hand that decides who makes it and who doesn't? You're about to find out.
Welcome to St. Louis Hustle.
Yo, here we go. And I called her again, as I always do, man. Shelly ain't never paying attention, man. Nevertheless, this is St. Louis Hustle Podcast. I'm Cortez Hustle. She's Michelle. Hey, what the heck you doing, Michelle?
You ought to know by now. Sometimes I just do that with you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Because I do get a kick out of it. I appreciate it.
You know what I do it for the people. You're welcome. I should start charging up fees for that. I think it's entertaining for real. I really do. I think it's entertaining. I've been trying to see where we at, and we right here.
There we go.
I miss job, but I'm here now.
That's it. And we could not let this week go by without getting your feedback on the topic of, this thing is starting to take on a life of its own.
Man.
And I want to make sure that people hear from you on this. And we've got some great questions that we're going to ask. So drop your feedback, ladies and gentlemen, because this is not a whole hour-long show, but we just want to jump out here and say, listen, can a marriage survive or a long-term relationship survive when a husband and wife one of them got a close relationship with members of the opposite sex? Now, I said yes, Michelle. I said, listen, as long as there's some boundaries in place, and as long as everybody is respecting said boundaries, I think people can make it happen. I don't know.
If it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. No, sir. No. Let me tell you something. No, the devil is alive. That's the first thing. Okay? When you do stuff like that, see, the Bible says, don't give place to the enemy. That's what the Bible says. That ain't me saying that. That's what the Bible says.
Okay.
And when you give place to the enemy, it's like you open the door and you say, hi, devil, come on and sit right here in my relationship. Now I'm gonna scoot over. Okay, devil, you sit right here. Come over, baby. Devil gonna sit right here. That's what you do when you do foolishness like that. You know what I'm saying? You open the door. And as far as boundaries, in a perfect world, boundaries exist, but we're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you create a situation like that, I think the key part of it is emotion, right? We're not can a man and woman be friends, right? Outside of their relationship with their spouse. That's not what we're saying. Can a man and a woman have an emotional connection, right? I got my boo. 10, I had a boo, right?
Okay. We pretended. Boo is
and
there.
I got a boo, and my boo not, let's say I got a silent boo, and my boo ain't saying nothing. But let's say I got a boo, and we in a committed relationship, and he was in an emotional relationship with another female. This face that I'm giving you right here, no, Because when you have that emotional exchange,
Mm-hmm.
will be bedding that other person. You might as well be chicken. You might as well be doing some stuff you ain't got no business doing. That's just that's my 5 cents. And put that right there. Go. We want feedback though. Weigh in. We want drop it in the comments. Y'all know how I'm doing. I got I would just put it out. I got my other phone because y'all know I'm not a great multitasker. That's why y'all can't put it down. What you doing? Oh Lord. That's why I get caught because I be trying to see what y'all doing. Can't see with the it's out. So I'll be trying to interact, you know. So put your comments out there so we can see what you got to say about it. You know, I don't think it's possible when you have an emotional connection. Again, the key word is emotional. Okay. We want to hear your feedback. Okay.
All right. So let me see if I can get to some of the comments that we had from Tuesday. And see, Cedric Carr is on. What say ye, Cedric? Can a man and a woman be in a committed relationship and have close relationships with members of the opposite sex? And when we say close, Michelle has defined close as an emotional connection. So let me know what you say as you guys are popping on. Also, let us know what part of the country you guys are tuning in from. And this is exciting for me because we got about 5 questions that we want to ask that's around this topic as well. I'm trying to find my girl Myra. Her comment was a little deep, and let's see if I can find it and pull it up because that was a little deep. Some people were saying yes. My girl Teresa said yes. You know, I can be friends with whoever I want to. I know who I'm married to, right? So I would assume that she's not alone in that thinking. So let me pull up another Facebook browser real quick and let's see if I can jump over to last week's show. And you are monitoring the show page, right? You're on the
I am. So I'm on the show page now, and I am. We got a few folks that are, that are tuned in. So if you are tuned in, you're watching. Don't just watch. Don't believe me. Just watch. Don't just watch. Don't just watch in.
They can't comment because they boo right there.
They can comment.
They can't comment because they boo right there, and they might.
Right. Exactly. So that's what y'all saw me on camera. I got I got a new production assistant. So I'm trying to get my production assistant to log on real quick so he can throw in some comments. Okay, I got my dude Don Tess. Man, Don Tess, that's my new favorite. That's my new favorite person to log in and make comments. Don Tess, y'all never let me down, man. He's got a comment. He said, not good with an emotional connection, maybe a business relationship. Great point, my friend, great point. Okay, when it is business, there's nothing wrong with that. I've been knowing Mr. Hustle for 10 plus years. Okay, me and Mr. Hustle have a professional business relationship. I know his wife. I've been knowing him and his wife for a number of years. Okay, it is professional. It is business. We don't do emotion. We do spiritual, but we don't do emotion. Okay, if I want to connect emotional, I'm gonna connect to his wife emotionally. But that's the way I'm designed. I'm not going to try and connect to him emotionally. That's not what I do. If I need to connect emotionally, I'm gonna reach out to Lee. I'm gonna reach out to his wife because that's order, that's decency. I'm not gonna try and do that. That's just proper. That's just not proper. You know what I'm saying? Because it's too much. Again, I just think that it's just not. I just don't. I just don't. So I agree with you, Dantes, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It looked like Dantes, but black folks, it looked like Dantes, but it could be like Dantestity or something like that. I'm jacking up your name. It could be a whole different pronunciation, but
right.
This is what you want today on today's show. So, but I appreciate you. I promise to do.
So Charlotte says.
What comment?
Charlotte says it's really all about respecting each other. I definitely don't appreciate over-dependent relationships. It's creepy. We should have solid, mature engagement with others to be healthy humans and show how strong we really are. So is that a sign of strength that I can have a home girl that I kick it with every now and again? outside of the presence of my wife, and and that shows that we got a strong relationship. I don't know, Michelle. I'm just saying. I'm just asking.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Amara. You know what? I just feel that we got me brushing the waves in anger. Okay. I wish I had my wave brush. I wish I had a wave brush. You know, I wish I had a brush. If in a confined or committed relationship, I ain't even gonna lie, and it has nothing to do with insecurity because I consider myself to be a pretty secure female.
Okay.
I wish I would be like, I'm gonna go pick up with kitchen now. Let me get my purse. So we finna go, you know, you finna go. What is alcohol gonna be involved? Oh, y'all going to the club? Oh, okay. Y'all going. Oh, okay. And y'all, okay, y'all grew up together. Oh, that's cool. Okay, here's the thing, right? I'm not saying you and Keisha could have came up on the block. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? I got people that I came up on the block with.
Right.
If we're in a committed relationship, you don't have a friend that I'm not a friend to. And if he go, man, I got a super duper great, awesome friend about to get married. Okay. And this friend has been married before. He's about to get married again. Awesome friend. When his friend is single, we kick it together. We hang out. That's my homeboy. When he is married, when he's been married in the past and about to get married, I have enough sense to separate. Right. And he's one of my best friends, but I have enough sense to separate out of respect for his future wife. You know what I'm saying? I don't call late. I text during the day, and I don't talk about personal things. That emotional connection we used to have, it's got to be separate. It has to be. Because I respect him. I care for this friend so much that I have to. If I care about him, I want him to be happy in his relationship.
That's right.
And I realize that in wanting him to be happy in his relationship, I cannot force myself in between him and his future wife.
Gotcha.
I mean, I can take a step back. That means I got to get in the back seat. I can't be in the passenger seat no more.
Cool. So question number one then. Let's roll with question number one. If I had a homeboy or homegirl that I was super tight with before we started this long-term relationship, do I have to end my 15-year friendship, 20-year friendship, 30-year friendship for this new permanent relationship?
No, but there's got a big old butt. Oh yeah, but boundaries have to be made, and I think the person that's in the relationship it's up to them to let the person know, say, hey, friend of 30 years, this new boo, okay? And I love you, friend of 30 years, but if you love me, you respect my choice. Even if you don't think he gonna last, even if you think he ain't gonna be here, even if you think he gonna jet in the next 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, you respect my decision and you support me in this and you respect my boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Molly says,
because you love him, because you love me.
Right. Molly says you are a true friend to your friend because of how you would treat that situation. Yes, boundaries have to be established and respected, because I think if the shoe was on the other foot and my 30-year homegirl was about to get married, she'd want me to respect and fall all the way back in that relationship as well. Good. So let me see. Anybody else wants to chime in on that question? Should you have to get rid of your 30-year relationship if you decide to settle down and your main girl is a little uncomfortable with the new girl or your permanent relationship or your friendship, right? So that was one question. The overall question is, can a marriage sustain or survive either partner having a close relationship with a member of the opposite sex? She'll said no. You can't have close and without emotional though, Michelle. Close is emotional. If I'm close to you, we have emotional connection because that's the only reason. Yes, you can't be close to somebody and not have an emotional connection. You can know somebody a long time and not have an emotional connection, but if we close, the reason that draws us close is because we bonded somewhere along the lines of time we've been together. So there's got to be an emotional tie if there is some closeness. I would imagine. You can't be close and not emotional. There's no way because we don't get to close unless we bond, and bonds are emotional, right? I know. I got you. I got you. Now, second question in that, okay, you got a friend you've been hanging with since long before you got in this committed relationship. Does that friendship have to end? Can, how about this? Can your spouse make you end that relationship? What if that's an ultimatum? It's either me or them. Yeah, yeah. This special friend can't come to the wedding. They better not show up at the reception. Uh, you better not be trying to make them godparents of our kids. You. Hmm. Yeah. Right. Right. Hmm. Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Right. Right. Hmm. Right. Right. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Right. Right. Makes sense, man. Boundaries are important. Stephanie says she can't hear. Can anybody else hear us okay? Because we've been on for a good 15 minutes, and if y'all can't hear us and Stephanie and y'all ain't said nothing, I'm gonna strangle all of y'all. Yeah, Stephanie says she can't hear if it's just you or she can't hear anything. Oh, No, my
Dr. Jesse
bad.
can't hear Michelle's voice. Mic check. You just see me. You can't hear all this wonderfulness.
There we go. I had
Now,
I had you on mute on accident. That was my fault. My fault. I'm trying to win over here. So I muted you out so I can win the argument. Uh, no, no, she said yes, her lips moving. So no, you are back on in full. Yeah, I won that round too. So I'm up 2 rounds to nothing because they couldn't hear you. Um,
you had me up on
so Randy says yes, now we can. Uh, so you have to go back through that whole thing. So what Michelle was saying is, I'm going to give her due
mute.
because if we could see Jill Scott and Erica Badu love on one another and have a good stream, then I guess I could play fair. So boundaries and introducing your friend to your girlfriend, and I think the earlier the better, right? It can't be we've been um, we've been engaged for 2 years and all of a sudden I bring this chick around talking about this is my best friend ever and she just you know what I'm saying is if I've got a good homeboy or homegirl and I'm about to settle down, clearly that homeboy or homegirl is going to know about the woman that I plan to settle down with. So I better be introducing that friend to my soon to be permanent partner, so on and so forth. So I think the earlier the better. And then those boundaries do have to be established. And I don't have a friend of the opposite sex that is not also a friend of my wife. I think that is
There it is.
important. So I'll give you that. We don't do that. I've got I got to leave the room when a certain person calls
Thank
and
you.
all of that foolishness. Nah, every time they call, it's on speakerphone. Hello, hey, hey,
You
hey.
probably have to be clam up one side and you were down the other. That's the first thing.
Yeah, yeah. So that is, I think the boundaries are there, and no after hours. There's one person that gets to call me after hours, and that's a business relationship. Good friend of my wife and I. Both, and sometimes we don't know who she calling for, but we know she need to talk, and it's okay. But yeah, I think boundaries are good. So Randy says, my wife and I have great friendships with other couples and with other single folks who are the opposite sex. We both are close to a friend from Australia and another in Canada who we just both absolutely, uh, wait a minute, Randy, your comment disappeared. Who we both absolutely love deeply. My beautiful wife is always part of those friendships. It's our ministry. Yes, my wife knows I deeply love and adore each one of my friends, male and female. In 30 years, we have never felt threatened or worried. And I think the key there, Randy, is your wife is part of those relationships. Your wife was introduced into those relationships early on and kind of knows where you stand. And I'm sure as a man, you have to do all you can to help the woman with her security. Now, I will tell you, Michelle, I have fallen short in this department on a couple occasions. In my business, I'm in a network marketing space, man. I love home-based businesses and multi-level marketing. That's kind of my space, right? And if you know anything about that particular industry, it is a lot like ministry in terms of church, right?
Right.
There's about 65-35 or 70-30 women to men ratio, right?
True.
So a lot
Yep.
of the people on my team and both of the organizations that I'm a part of, it's the same. It's about 70% women, 30% men. So even in knowing that, I remember one time my wife's aunt asked my wife pretty bluntly, as a matter of fact. So we were pretending that we were doing a podcast, and she's like, "Okay, so the first podcast question I have is, how do you feel about your husband being around all these other women?" And it was like, "What?" Yeah, because in network marketing, it's all women, and so I have struggled at times in putting business boundaries in place and still phone is on speaker, but female voice, and it's too late at night, right? Because somebody has a question or a three-way call. Can you help me close this prospect? But still, too late at night, and I had to hear it from Sugar.
You, but you know what though? If see. I'll be honest with you. There's some times that okay. One more time. I'll be honest. I send you videos. Okay. Sometimes a little late in the evening. Okay. 10, 11 o'clock in the evening time. And that's business related. Business. There is a conviction within me when I'm hitting send on the videos. I'm like, oh man, this is a little late.
Yeah.
It is my hope and my prayer. Hey, lady girl, if you want me to stop, I will. Then I'm really hoping that he's saying, hey, this is Shell, hoping that if you are in bed, that you leave it over going, hey, see the shit, see the video.
Right.
That, you know what I'm saying? That I'm not trying to engage you in conversation that late. I'm just sending it because I'm gonna have it. And if I don't do it,
and we got to get it ready for early in the morning. So yeah.
Very right. So but I still get a little convicted on that. You know what I'm saying? So, but you know what I'm saying? So it's enough there for me to even still get that conviction that I don't still feel that great about it. Right. And we've been friends 10 plus years. I still don't feel that great about it. But for someone to just ring your phone and want to engage you, and no, the devil is a lie. You in bed, you trying to, even if you ain't in bed, that's your time, your family time. No. And I think people with good common sense, cut it off.
Right.
Even if you are working, cut it off. And if you heard it, you heard it now. Cut it off.
And that is where I take the blame, because I have the authority to cut it off. And I say, hey, don't call my doggone house after 8 p.m.
Don't call me after 8.
Stephanie says, I agree with everything you said. Married 22 years. My husband is in the military. He knows to introduce me right away, but some members of the opposite sex can be rude and will come up and talk to him, but he nips it with the intro. This is my wife. Boom. That is how you nip it in the bud right quick. And then go to some cold shoulder and, hey, and we were talking about this, or we were on our way here, and we'll get with you another time. Yeah. So another question. So keep your comments coming. So the overall theme is, yes or no, can a marriage or long-term relationship survive with either spouse having close relationships with the opposite sex? I've already won that close means emotional, so you don't got to keep saying that, because I already won that argument.
Right, when I was on mute.
When you was on mute, right? I won that. When you couldn't defend yourself, I won that. And then the first part of that question is, if I was in one of these relationships before I got with my wife, and for me, I wasn't. I don't have a long-term. My long-term relationships with the opposite sex happens to be my cousins and stuff like that, right? So I didn't have that issue. But some people have that long-term relationship with a member of the opposite sex. Then they get introduced to the love of their life. Should they have to cut off that relationship? I say no, but there has to be some lines drawn in the sand, some clear boundaries. This is another one. When we're talking about emotional ties, Shell, you threw this one in there. What the deal with the work husband or the work wife?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So I'm going to let you take the lead on the work husband and the work wife.
Talk about it. I have lots of good friends at work. I like work. Work is fun. Work is good. But I've known that I've had this situation on other jobs, and honestly, I've been in my current job forever. But before I went to the current job, I had a work husband when I worked for Marriott, and it was a joke in the office, and it was an older guy, and he used to do stuff for me, and it was cute when I was in my 20s. Hi. It was cute when I was in my 20s, and I didn't really understand um, all of the fullness of it. It was cute, but older, being in my it's not so cute anymore. Because I see the other side of it, and I know that I wouldn't play that game anymore. It's not cute to let this married man buy me lunch. It's not cute to be walking around with this married man and have him playing husband and doing these pretend husband things for me on the job, just even in fun and joking. It's not cute. And having him tell me his problems or his complaints about his wife. He was confiding in me about things that issues he was having with his wife. He was confiding. I was pregnant at the time. And he was telling me things, issues and problems he was having with his wife at home. And, I was playing counselor, and he was telling me, and he was all googly eyed at me, and I was still a diva when I was pregnant even, but it still wasn't healthy, it wasn't healthy. And there was an emotional, I was a single woman pregnant, but it still wasn't healthy because there was an emotional connection with this man, as me being pregnant and him being in an unhappy marriage and us having this emotional bond. And then that joke being, oh, that's her work husband, that's her work baby daddy, and him buying little trinkets and leaving them on my desk. And again, back then, now,
too far. And for me, I'm taught as a Christian to abstain even from the appearance of evil. So a lot of people don't know this about me, and I know some of my teammates are on, and we'll get a chance to hang out, when social distancing is over. And if you notice some of this weird behavior, this is why, right? Because I'm not trying to be alone in a room with a woman. I'm not trying to be alone in a car with a woman. I had a preacher really help me understand this. He taught this as a sermon. He said, I go from city to city and I teach and I minister. And he said, before I go, I call the hotel and tell them to disconnect the cable from my room, because I don't even want the appearance that I could be in my room with some porn. He said, if the other church sends a woman to pick me up from the airport, I'm getting in the cab. I'm not getting in the car alone with a woman, period, whether she's single, married, because that's the appearance of evil, right? All that needs to happen, I could be in another city, and just so happens somebody who knows my wife happens to be in that city at the same time. And they see me riding in the front seat of somebody's car. Oh, I thought you said Cortez was at one of his conventions. Well, you know what I saw? It couldn't have been that I needed a ride from the airport to get to the convention. It had to be, he just said that so he can come see this other. So I'm very careful, even to the point of being weird sometimes, because I don't want that. And it's my job to help my wife with her security. That's my job. I have to.
Wait. Wait. Hold on. Say that with your chest. Say it again.
It is
your job.
It's my job.
Your wife be secure. Man, if I was there, I have to high five.
It's my job. It is my job.
I don't understand that. That is your job.
Yeah.
You know what? Super quick. I remember in the 90s, my daddy was on some tomfoolery. Sorry, well, he ain't gone, but sorry, daddy. Sorry, Lord, I'm not telling business. But my daddy was somewhere that he was doing tomfoolery with his friends, frackalacking, right? Married man, and he got lost somewhere, and there was a single woman in the mix, and he got lost, right? He allowed this single woman to drive the car. My mama bought him. So my mama was downtown. My mama used to do radio as well. So my mama was downtown driving this way. Here come her car she bought going this way with a woman driving and my daddy in the passenger seat. And my mom was like, hell is that? Now it was because my daddy gets turned around. Anybody that knows me, I'm directionally challenged. I get lost easy. I get it from my daddy. So that part was innocent enough. She was driving because he got turned around. But the appearance of it, you ain't had no business letting that woman drive your car. And if you wasn't hanging out, a married man with a bunch of single friends, you wouldn't have been with that single woman who had to drive your car to get you where you needed to go. And you wouldn't have crossed your wife in traffic, who later tore up your car that she bought, because you put yourself in a situation, you know, and it just because you created that appearance.
Stephanie says, we know people of the opposite sex, between her and her husband, best friends. Says, I don't think it has to be cut off, but respect is a must. No such thing as a work wife or work husband. That's not for us. Just seems like a game. Yeah, and I got some high fives, I think, from my last statement. But yeah, man, that is so that brings me to another question. So overall, guys, you can weigh in on any of these questions, but kind of help us when you're weighing in so we know which one you're weighing in on. Can a long-term committed relationship survive if one or both spouses have a close relationship with member of the opposite sex, right? That was one of the questions. Another question is, if the committed relationship happened and has been in existence before, or the friendship has been in existence before we got together in a committed relationship, do we cut that off or do we continue with boundaries? Right? And then we had another question. What's the deal with the work husband and the work wife? Should you be confiding in and creating those type of relationships on the job? Now, we're on to our question number 4 is, how often is too often for a married man or a married woman to be hanging and gallivanting with their single friends? How often is too often for that?
Okay, let me tell you something, okay? I must say, when I go out, now sometimes I do go out, check my bum. Okay, outside and open up, and I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna be the first one out there, but when it be a little bit of time passed, I'll be out there like, hey, how y'all doing? I'm a married man magnet, okay? Now, I thank God for Jesus. I don't do married men. I never have and I never will, because I refuse to sow seeds of separation into my future marriage by sowing seeds of separation into somebody else's.
Amen.
I refuse to do that. I refuse. But they try me. Try Jesus, I mean. Okay, anyway. But I don't do that, right? But they try me. And every time I get approached by a married man, they always try to justify why I should be their friend. They always try to justify why we should be in cahoots, why we change numbers, why we should be close friends, why it's okay. It's never going to be okay.
Right.
Never. Yeah. It is never going to be okay. And you hanging with your single boys, you know, and you watching women do what they do with the club. I don't judge, you know, people do what they do or whatnot. I just am a firm believer that why put yourself in that element? If you out, your wife with you. And if you don't love her that much, now if you with the fellas, y'all gonna have a beer, go have a beer, do that, take your behind home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you out and you stay the whole night, you watching single women gyrate and shake on the floor, you just setting yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Even if you go home to your wife, you setting yourself up, because sooner or later, somebody gonna approach you.
Yep.
Sooner or later, you're not going right home to your wife. Sooner or later, you're going to get caught tripping. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just crazy enough to believe that when I do get married, I'm going to marry my best friend. I'm crazy enough to believe that I'm going to marry my husband, that I can be out with him and we're going to be best friends. I'm crazy enough to believe that I can be out with him and I'm going to be the one he's walking on. But we're going to be best friends.
And it won't be no need for any of that. I think when my wife and I got together, we both were homebodies, which is cool. Now, that creates another problem for me because I like to work. I'm always hustling. I'm always grinding. So even though we in the same house, uh,
This,
I'm still locked up in my room in front of a laptop. So that's a whole nother thing, creating balance and work-life balance. That's another thing. But you're right. Good for me that I was never the going out type, right? And my wife isn't the going out type either. So we're kind of homebodies and that. But yeah, it's the activities of, if I had some homeboys and at one point they were all married and then a couple of them got single and they say, okay, man, let's go shoot some pool. Between, 6 and 8, that sounds up my alley. But
yeah,
then it's usually what happens after the shooting of the pool, after you've had a few drinks, where married men don't, because we're such social creatures,
yeah,
sometimes it's hard to say at the behest of being heckled. This is where I veer off, fellas. This is where I turn off. The
yeah.
story I shared on Monday or on Tuesday is one of my good friends from way, way back got married, right? And the
Uh-huh.
night before the wedding, of course, he had a bachelor party. We had some hole in the wall hotel, and the strippers come in. I'm like, what in the heck is so I am and it takes my wife to talk about me. I get this look on my face when I'm extremely uncomfortable and I can't hide it. And I'm like, I can't believe that this is to get down and to get down. So of course I made my way out, and you can talk about me like if you want to, but this ain't the environment for me.
Yeah,
But I know some people, because of this fake TV macho, says you can't be handpicked and say, oh man, you can be here, you ain't doing nothing, you just watching. No, Jigga, this is
I'm
serious temptation. And the book I read says that my God will always make a way of escape for
right.
me when I'm tempted. So when I hit the side door kind of fast, they probably did laugh, but I ain't got nothing to do with that. I got to get up out of here, man. This ain't why I'm here, man. I want to bless your marriage, but hell, don't look like you want to bless your marriage. With what's going on. So,
Right. You try to curse it before it gets
before I
started.
even get started, man, it's funny, but I don't believe in certain activities with
Yeah,
single people, right?
yeah,
Because I know when single people are going and participating in certain activities, they're on a hunt. And I don't
yeah.
need to be on the hunt, right?
Nope.
But man, single people, if y'all want to come pick me up and we want to go and catch a ball game, okay. We want to go play some softball, okay. I can get y'all want to go shoot some hoops, okay. But there's certain things when it started getting too late and y'all just getting started. First of
Yeah.
all, Shell, I'm an old ass man. At 8:30, my eyes is heavy, and you swear that
Oh,
I got Chinese eyes from another reason. No, I'm just old. I'm just sleepy, y'all. That's all it is. Uh, but when y'all start trying to get the night started at 10 o'clock at night, though
yeah,
I
I
can't
can't.
do
I'm
those
too
single
old.
friend activities because I
I'm too
know what
old.
y'all trying to do, right?
Yep, yep. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you, man. And that's a good rule of thumb. I mean, I think that's a solid cadence to have. I think you can't go wrong with that. Um, I think when as a single person, I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday. Sometimes when you're single, you need accountability.
Mhm.
We have to have accountability people when we're single. And even sometimes when you're married too. When you're married, hopefully your spouse is your accountability person.
Right.
But when you're single, yeah, you need accountability. And so, hopefully you have a good friend that will help you be accountable. I'll be honest, as a single woman, women have the, bachelorette parties and they have this men strippers.
Hmm.
My friends laugh at me. I've never been into men strippers. Like I don't like strippers, period. I get really uncomfortable, and I love the man's body. Men's is wonderful. They
Right.
wonderful specimen. I love the men's.
Hercules,
But
Hercules.
when I used to do secular comedy, I hosted a men's. they used to have the men's stripper shows that would come to Illusions in Illinois, and I would host a couple of them. And I tell them, hey, look, I can help you make your money, but don't put your hands on me. Don't be try to make me part of the show. Don't try to, because I get uncomfortable.
Right.
I don't want to, you know. There are some things that just make me uncomfortable. That's not my space,
Right.
you know. And
Right.
so I'm glad that I was like that single, because I know when I get married, I'm gonna be good, because that's not my space single. So I know it ain't gonna be my space married.
Gotcha.
You know?
So
Yeah.
last question. This is another good one. And because you brought it up, the accountability partner, right? Can you tell your homeboy, homegirl, when they are stepping over the line and they are married, hey man, you on a slippery slope, you know, and this is why even my married friends who ain't right, they don't mess with me, because if you my friend, then I'm friends with your wife too, and
Yep.
if you doing your wife wrong, I I'm not saying that I'm gonna run and tell, but if she called me and say, "Hey, was you and so here at this time?" Not no, but hell no, I was at home. I don't know where he was, and now you got to go and deal with that. But the question is, can you tell your friend when they're tripping and not be seen as a hater, right? I think that's tough. You know, I don't like to lie, man. So I gotta at least say, listen, man, this don't look like it's gonna end right. And to your point earlier, everybody's got a way to rationalize their dirt. Well,
Yep.
Tez, she cheated on me, or Tez, you don't know what's going on. And
Yep.
what I do know is you have not yet said I don't. And until you say I don't, you
Thank
still
you.
do. And
Thank
because
you.
you do, there's certain things that you can't do, especially in my presence. I'm sorry. So,
That's
yeah.
it. That's so key. In my younger years, I had a friend that put me in that position, a male friend, and his wife was like, "Are y'all going so and so?" We were taking it again, doing comedy. We were doing a show out of town, and he invited another young lady to go and on this show out of town, and I didn't know what her purpose for going was, but she went on this road trip, and after the show, me and the young lady, we all stayed out of town. Me and the young lady shared a room. The gentleman had his own room. And after the show was over, he called our room and asked the young lady to go swimming with him. Now, he ain't asked both of us to go swimming. I'm like, I like to swim too. Can I go? He just asked her. I can't get in the pool. I want to go get in the pool too. He just asked her to come on, go swimming.
Mhm.
And I was like, and I remember thinking that's so inappropriate. Like, and it was like after 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And her dumb went. And I'm like, and she came back strolling in at 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was just, that's not cool. And I was like, I remember I wanted to say something because he was older. I was afraid, and I didn't. So bad, because I was friends with him and his wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just something I didn't. And it was such an awkward feeling, because and I don't know what happened. And I doubt anything happened in a public pool, but it was still inappropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just,
Because what men will tend to say is nothing happened, but it wasn't that you didn't have intentions for something to happen. You just shot your shot and missed.
yeah.
That's what really happened. But
Yeah.
you created the environment for everything to happen. She just didn't say yes. So now you go home with this confidence that nothing happened. Like, nah, man, you were trying to make something happen. Your game just sucked. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all that is. You done lost your touch. Been married too long or whatever. But this was fun, Michelle. So I'm glad I got your take on all of this stuff, man. So
so much.
We are super, super, super excited. So next week we've got some great stuff coming. We'll be back at our normal time, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure that y'all go and rate the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Everywhere your favorite podcasts are, we there. Give us a rating. Tell us how you like the show, and if the audio quality is suffice or whatever, just let us know. And then go subscribe to the YouTube channel, St. Louis Hustle Podcast. Go subscribe or like the fan page, St. Louis Hustle Podcast. And wherever we are, man, show us some love. So, last word, Chalet?
That's the love part thing. Show us some love.
That's it. That's it. Boom. There you go.
Look at that. Do that, man. Yeah, do the whole social media thing, YouTube and the whole podcast thing. Everything he just said, do that what he just said. And this was fun. So I appreciate the opportunity for the do-over to weigh in on this subject. This was such a good one.
Yeah.
Because I'm passionate about the subject, so I appreciate that. And thank you guys for tuning in, because this was fun. It was fun. It was super duper fun. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until we talk to you guys next week, get your money up, because you absolutely can do it.